Sulma V. Arzu Brown is an Afro-Latina mother of 2 daughters and the author of the bilingual children's book series, Solidarity. Her first book, Bad Hair Does Not Exist, and her new book, My Hair Comes With Me, focuses on young girls and women embracing their natural hair. Sulma is a Garifuna, a woman born in Honduras and the director of operations at the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Sulma, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing excellent.
I see you're wearing LeBronx.
All the way, the original Wakanda, baby.
So, Sulma, what prompted you to write a bilingual children's book in English and Spanish about bad hair or pelo malo?
Bad hair doesn't mean anything to me because it doesn't exist.
Well, it exists for me. I've got bad hair. But other than that,
I never set out to become an author.
Right.
It was never my dream. But you don't know how you can overcome challenges until you're prompted to do so. My then 3-year-old daughter, she's now 8, would go to a daycare with a phenomenal caregiver. She would do my daughter's hair. I was super grateful. I wore many different hats. And, sometimes I just didn't have the time. And one time when I went to pick my daughter up, my daughter had taken her barrettes out and her hair was tousled. And when I entered the premises, my caregiver said, Sulma, tienes que alisarle el pelo a esta niña porque es pelo malo. Which means, Sulma, you have to chemically straighten your daughter's hair because it's bad hair.
Right.
And I've heard this term before and I never really stood up for it ever. Right. But now it's so personal.
And this came from another Latina woman.
Yeah. And I had to be very careful because my daughter was there and all of these little eyes are looking at me.
What kind of effect do you think that has on not only your daughter, but other little children who think their hair is bad because it's not straight?
Exactly. And that's exactly why I responded to her in the way that it could, because I remember, being a little kid and my feelings will get hurt because adults will say these things and we didn't really know how to respond to them. So I asked her, listen, let's work as equal partners. Let me find you some material so that we can raise the self-esteem of not just my daughter, but all the children under your care, because, we don't know what else is being said when we're not around. I looked and searched for books that I can come and read to the children and work on this, but nothing said exactly what I wanted to say.
How do you explain to her, your hair's beautiful, darling?
I actually explained it to them the same way I explained it to the babysitter. I gave them proper terminologies for hair, and I told them these are the proper terminologies and the tools you would need to educate whatever adult or any child that's faced with this. With the caregiver, we had a phenomenal exchange. She explained to me that she herself was an Afro-Latina from Puerto Rico, and her dad was also an Afro-Latino, but every time her dad would comb his hair, he would always say, ay, pelo malo, pelo malo, pelo malo. So it was a colloquial term. It was a term frequently used. And what I told her was, this will stop with you and I.
Did you get that when you were a kid?
See, I was raised in a Garifuna village in Honduras. So the way we bonded with each other and our community and our neighbors was the hair.
Right. Where do these messages come from?
When I moved to the States was the first time I started hearing this. I would visit the salon. My mom chemically straightened my hair at the age of 12. And I don't know why I didn't ask for it. When I would go and do my touch-ups at the salon, that's when I would hear the hairstylist say, oh my goodness, ya está el pelo malo, ya está el pelo malo, which means the bad hair is growing in. But that's where I frequently heard it.
You think it's a cultural thing? People are trying to look more European, is it?
It's definitely a cultural thing. In my neighborhood, for example, the majority of the salons were owned by women from the Dominican Republic. And from what I understand, their history with colorism and their history with the Haitian community, over 90% of them do not identify as Afro-Latinas. So it entered my world, but it didn't become personal until it was used to describe my daughter.
So I guess after you went to look for a book to come read to the nursery school and you couldn't find any, you said, I'm going to write my own book, right?
I call it an ordained body of work. I felt my spirit person just saying, pick up that pen and you have a pad in your briefcase and start writing. And it took me less than 5 minutes to write the book.
Explain to me how the book is. Is it English on one side and Spanish on the other?
The original books came out in English first and then in Spanish, 2 separate books. We were able to fit both languages. Pelo malo no existe, bad hair does not exist, on the same pages. We used a lot of affirmations. We want to make sure that people knew pelo malo no existe, pelo malo no existe. It almost sounds like a song.
What are we looking at in the book? Is it a story of a little girl?
What we wanted to do was focus in on our community through our own eyes. So when you open the book, you'll see a beautiful depictions of our community and the exchange that they have. For example, one of the pages is, my hair is white, my hair is black. There are all kinds of hair and all hair is good. The white hair is actually a grandmother with white hair.
Right.
And then the daughter has black hair. And what you see is a beautiful depiction of grandma passing on a cupcake recipe to the grandchild. Another little girl with wavy hair and straight hair and beautiful like ballerina costumes. You'll see a superwoman in wavy hair. Right. So it's just depiction of positive images, and based on the images we tell you what kind of hair they have, so that you never have to use bad hair to describe any of these hair types.
Tell us a little bit about the history of the Garifuna.
We are actually hailed from the island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So yes, African slave ships landed in the island of St. Vincent, and then you already had the Black Caribs in there, and then you also had the Arawak Indians already there. So what happens when you put all this pool of people together, shake it up, you get a brand new breed of people.
Right.
And that's when Garifuna people came in. We were the last island in the Caribbean to get colonized by the British. They got us during the Second Carib War when they killed our chief, Joseph Chatouillier. So about 5,000 of my people waved the white flag, and we were put in an island called Balisu. It exists to this day, and only reptiles can survive on this island. So half of my population perished. I mean, we know the amount of men, women, and children because of the archives the British kept. The goal was genocide for us, but they couldn't kill us all. And what they did was separate us into 11 convoy ships off to slavery. That was the goal. By divine intervention, we ended up on an island called Roatan, which is now a part of Honduras. We were able to come into Honduras, and the Spanish that were there at that point allowed us to stay in on the coastline of Honduras without enslaving us, and we were able to grow our population, maintain our language, and eventually our people ended up moving to Nicaragua and Belize.
What century did this all happen? Was this the 18th century, 17th century?
It was in March 11, 1797, and we ended up in Honduras on April 12, 1797. So we're now in Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, and Nicaragua. Our brothers and sisters from Belize are not Spanish, because Belize is the only English colonized country in Central America.
But you share the same. But you're sharing the same DNA with them anyway.
The exact same DNA.
Right.
And then through Marines, we ended up in the United States. Here in the Bronx, we have an estimated 250,000 Garifunas. As a matter of fact, the first Black play in the Americas was called The Drama of King Chatouillier by a man named Henry Brown. King Chatouillier was the chief of the Garifuna.
That was in New York, that play?
Was in New York,
right.
The North Grove Theater in Harlem.
Tell me a little bit about your immigration story.
My parents literally came here for a better opportunity. My mom used to work in a bank in Honduras, and she was trying to apply for a higher position. And her boss, who was also her friend, said, Blanca, we cannot give you the position. We know you're qualified. We can't give you the position because you're a Garifuna, because you are Black, and because you are a woman. I will connect with family in the States and have you go there. But when you go, leave your kids here so that you can go and learn the language and get a job and then bring your kids. Ooh, I get emotional when I tell this story, right? Because it's really difficult.
Sure.
The sacrifice I can't even make with my old kids right now. But she made it.
How long were you separated from your mom?
I was 1. Barely any recollection of my mom. My grandma pretty much raised my
How old were you when you got here?
I was 6 years old. They became extremely successful, put both their kids through college, became homeowners, and retired and became entrepreneurs. They're incredible individuals.
Do you have recollections of growing up in Honduras?
I have a few recollections of growing up in Honduras, mainly just helping my grandma in like the first supermarket that our village ever had. That was my grandma. My dad only stayed in Honduras maybe like a few more months, and then he followed my mom over. But he never once came to visit us while we were there because he expressed that he couldn't deal with that separation a second time.
Right.
You know, so he waited for us.
Tell us what it's like to go back to Honduras now. We know There's lots of people who are trying to escape violence in Honduras. Trump is putting them literally in jails. Your area in Honduras where the Garafinas are, is that different than other parts of Honduras?
My village is considered one of the safest villages in Honduras, reported pretty much zero crimes for a couple of years. One of my uncles is the mayor of the village. It's beautiful. I've never felt like I was in any form of danger. Again, it's who you're with and where you go. As a matter of fact, my children will be there exploring the culture. But I am well aware of the immigration crisis that's happening. It's a third world country. People are poor. They just need another opportunity. You know, unfortunately, the opportunities are happening at a time when we have the leader not being representative of what we call humanity.
Have you ever had issues with your hair in the workforce?
I've never had any issues or anyone say anything bad about my hair, with the exception of when I did have it chemically straightened. I actually cut off all my chemically straightened hair because there were times that I had to go to the beauty salon 2 times a week, and I was just done. I was tired. I wanted to submerge my head in the pool and swim and have fun with my kids, and not have to worry about going to the salon trying to put rollers and get under a hot dryer in the heat. I closed my eyes through the majority of the cut, and once I opened it, it was like the 2 or 3-year-old Sulma embracing the adult Sulma and saying, we're finally back together again. My older daughter, something I never forget, she took a sigh of relief. She goes, we finally look alike. Those were her words.
That's amazing.
And I got the most compliments I've ever gotten in my life because people could finally see my face.
So what do you say to adults who were, I guess, like you at some point, to say, listen, your hair's beautiful the way it is?
Number one, find out where this came from. Like, what part of you decided that you were not beautiful just the way you were made? We're going to live our lives with all of these media messages coming at us at challenging our form of beauty. At least once in your life, give yourself that opportunity to see who you are from hair to toe in the most natural, most beautiful face. Ever since I went natural, or decided to be a part of the Back to You revolution, that I'd like to call it, I've been extremely successful. Yes, I am the Director of Operations for the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I sit in the Mayor's Commission on Women and Girls. I'm part of the board of the Women's March Alliance, and I am a homeowner in the Bronx, and I'm also the co-owner and investor of the first woman-owned boutique coffee shop called the Boogie Down Grind that my community has made. My daughter's grades are incredible. I could tell the difference between when I wrote the book and how their confidence rose after I wrote the book.
Beauty comes from confidence.
Absolutely.
In addition to everything that you're doing, you just came out with a new book, My Hair Comes With Me. What's in that book?
This is about shifting the paradigm of what success should look like. I make sure that I'm inclusive to my brothers and sisters in the LGBTQ community and the faith-based community, from the disabled community. So you'll see a lot of that. But we're also tackling professions such as marketing executives,
right,
CEOs, and making sure that people understand that our looks doesn't matter. So long as we're able to do the job, to encourage each and every one of us that you can come as you are. The New York City Commission on Human Rights just created some guidelines to help companies not discriminate against hair, because oftentimes even dreadlocks were foreseen as not well groomed, or an afro is not well groomed.
The state of New York and California both passed legislation making it illegal this year to discriminate against hair, particularly natural hairstyles in school, work, public places.
This is a great first step for us, but this is now an opportunity for our communities to really come together and make sure we stop this once and for all. I've heard a lot of women in the workforce, not knowing how to wear their hair, even for interviews, for example. I and a whole lot of other women in this space, and men in this space, have a lot more work to do to make sure we really shift that mentality. But I'm telling you, this new book, My Hair Comes With Me, Shifting the Paradigm of What Success Looks Like, is going to go head on to make sure we spread the word about this discrimination that has to stop.
Where can we buy it? Where can we read it? Both the children's book, Bad Hair Does Not Exist, and your new book, My Hair Comes With Me?
You could definitely find it at nopelomalo.com. That is my website. But My Hair Comes With Me will be available for sale in mid-August as we start our back-to-school push.
Tell us what the American dream means to you, and tell me if you think you've reached it.
For me, my American dream is really success, to be able to raise my kids in an environment that I feel safe, to be able to play a proactive role in my community and my environment in a positive way, which I believe I have. Be able to express, my love for God and my love for Christ without having to be criticized or judged for it, and to be able to have friends from all different walks of life help me in this journey.
Excellent. Sulma V. Arzu Brown, author of Bad Hair Does Not Exist, and her new book, My Hair Comes With Me. Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful personality, great smile, beautiful hair. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Brad. All right, bye.
Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.